$20 confession? Did the Deadpool killer Wade Wilson confess to both murders on a phone call that was public record for $20? What's going on, everyone? You're watching Sight Sounds Flavors on YouTube, sightsoundsflavors.com. If at any point in time you like the video, smash that like button. Please be sure to subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications so you won't miss a single one, and leave a comment down below. So I got to tell you something, folks. Wade Wilson, the Deadpool killer, this guy's got not one, but two GoFundMe's out for him by these like girl fans of his. Check out that video at Everything Else channel at the end of this video. He's got, people sending him pictures. We won't talk about what's in the pictures. We got people, trying to add him on various, they've got like these social media apps for prisoners, kiosks and whatnot. And I was able to listen to a call on TikTok where he's calling someone named Mila, who it sounds like may have been his girlfriend, if, the guy's capable of having a girlfriend. And he actually went to see her allegedly after one of the murders. I don't know if she's being charged as an accessory after the fact. I don't know if she rendered any aid. It doesn't sound like she did. It sounds like he tried to abduct her. It sounds like he tried to drag her into the car, even though he says that he wasn't going to hurt her. There's a guy that strangled two women and ran them over. So I don't really, he said he didn't want to hurt her, but, you're trying to drag someone into the car, and he's admittedly high on meth. But to me, it's crazy that, this woman was able to, get not one, but two confessions out of him. And what he wanted was for her to put $20 on the books for him so that he could buy socks and hygiene products. I mean, he gave two very, very, just confessions. I mean, why did you do it? I don't know. That's not good enough. I was out of my mind on meth. But that's still not good enough. Why did you do it? And she's questioning him better than a police officer would, maybe even better than a prosecutor would, because when he's being tried or he's being interrogated, there isn't anything that they want, that he wants to give. And there isn't anything they can offer for him to give them what they want. So, here he just put his cards on the table. He wanted $20. But it's one of those things where it's not like he was saying anything to get the $20, because as soon as she said she wasn't going to put the $20 on, now they're back to having a normal conversation. And even still, it's consistent with what he told his father. His father's also on these calls, chastising him for basically speaking to the press and speaking to these fans and groupies or whatever they are, because the father says, now you're going to get charged with murder. So, the father's moral compass, I know the father turned him in, and maybe we're talking about maybe the biological father and the adopted father, maybe we're talking about different people, but, it just seems like that whole camp has got some issues going on. But, but we've also seen how parents and, immediate family react when it's one of their loved ones that's being accused or that's guilty of sin, as in the case of Wade Wilson or Darrell Brooks Jr. We saw what Dawn Woods did. I mean, she didn't excuse what her son did, but she also thought that what he did was the product of mental illness. And she also thought that her son wasn't a bad person. And she also thought that her son could never have intentionally did what he did. And we also saw her read A Caged Bird Sings, in trial, which is, the ultimate desecration of Maya Angelou that I can think of. So, but again, it goes back to her, wanting to stick up for her son, even though I'm sure she, I hope, is disgusted with what he did. She's still going to stick up for him. And the father here, basically pleading with him to stop incriminating himself. If it's the same father who turned him in, then it's just being paternal, I suppose. But if it's a different father, if we're talking about the adoptive father turned him in, or the biological father turned him in, or vice versa, we're talking about two different people, and one of them is saying, "Hey, stop saying this. You're going to hurt your case. You're stupid for," and that's not the one that turned him in. Then that one is kind of probably iffy as well, morally speaking. But to me, I just think that the desperation in there, I mean, again, I don't know how valuable, because we're on the out, we're not in prison, but I can't imagine, giving up your deepest, darkest secrets for, a pair of socks and some toothpaste. But, I suppose maybe he was being extorted in there. But probably not, though, because I would imagine because of his high profile, he was single-celled. So I'm guessing he. But at the same time, though, maybe in his mind he figured he was going to get convicted anyways, so it didn't matter. I don't know. And I will tell you that the smile tattoo, the stitches on the sides, it makes it look like he's smiling all the time, but he's really more stoic. But the guy's a POS, and I can't imagine why. Look, every serial killer, bad person has got like this kind of cult that follow him around. In Manson's case, it was an actual cult. But I mean, to have GoFundMe's for him and to put money on his books, and one of the women that called him referred to other potential victims as bees, bitches. I mean, it's a very dehumanizing thing. And then you look at some of the Sandra Londons, who basically fangirled for the Gainesville Ripper, for Danny Rawling, and even wanted to marry him and wrote books about him. And then you start to wonder, she also dated Schaefer, who was another serial killer in high school. You wonder if these groupies have any sense of empathy at all for the suffering of the victims of these monsters, the families of the victims, the friends, the loved ones, the significant others. It just doesn't, to me, it's one of those things where the moral condemnation that you have for the monster extends to all those that are willing to help him, that glorify what he did. Nobody would be talking about Wade Wilson but for the fact that he strangled 2 innocent women, murdered them, ran them over with his car, and had no expression, no remorse, and just looked just like a monster. That is his claim to fame. And then a huge rap sheet behind that, and it just makes you wonder what kind of people, because it's not just women. I mean, look, we're focusing on the women but it's men too. It's just a kind of person that, and you could say it's because they want notoriety, but really the only ones that we hear about are the ones that are dumb enough to call him, or the ones that have had the audio leaked somehow. I would imagine Freedom of Information. I mean, that is public record. Those jail calls are not like some sort of sealed evidence or matter or whatnot. The only time that he's going to get that would be speaking to his attorneys. Attorney-client privilege. That's the only time. So the penitent privilege, like if he were to confess to a priest or something like that. But not these jail calls. I mean, and again, he is definitely not very intelligent, and he's a loser. I mean, he's a loser, and honestly, if he was a winner, he wouldn't have done this. But then again, you can't even say that, because there's serial killers like Bundy, who could have been a brilliant lawyer. The judge in his Miami trial said, it actually pained him to see him in court because he did such a good job, and he hadn't even graduated law school or passed the bar, but he was far along enough as to where, he impressed the judge. But again, we don't know, and I appreciate him saying that he was high on meth and this was correct. But the girl Mia that he was talking to, she said, lots of people go out and do drugs and they don't do this. Why did you do this? And I think that she's a victim as well. But why is she talking to him on the phone? See, that's why she doesn't get a pass from me, even though he tried to drag her into his car, and she might have been victim number 3. She's on the phone with him. She's on some level in a relationship with him or something. Something because he thought to ask her for money. But then again, he probably asked everybody for money. He's playing people, as most prisoners would. And again, I don't know what the allure is for a pair of, tall socks and some toothpaste is, but, he gave it up for $20.